exactly is it? I mean, the qualities of shopping that people look for in a bricks and mortar shops compared to, let's just say, online shopping, and also now seems to be cashless shopping in a no-staff store?
I think multi-factors, and for offline shoppers, for example, convenience, like a location, and then the staff, and we can see and touch, and of course, and then some of the services we need, and the lastly, but not last, is the payment part.
All right.
And of course, and then if we get automatic checkout, that's it's convenient.
What about you, Mr. Liu?
Well, it certainly has a number of advantages in terms of convenience, in terms of the payment security, but I would also see it as more of an expanded vending machine, because they cannot really substitute for the shopping experience in a real manned store. Talk with grandma and compare a variety of goods whatsoever. So this is really there to fill the gap instead of there to replace the conventional stores.
Do you think, Mr. Rae, it's only likely to be an alternative, but not necessarily going to take the place of traditional shopping?
We'll see. I think there's different categories of retail. And if we're talking about a more convenient store environment, I think the grab and go automated concept could work quite well. In the United States, everyone is familiar already with the idea of, parking your car off of a freeway, running in and grabbing something quickly. Your interaction with the person who works at the register is already minimal. So I think in an environment like that, it could work. Although it does raise a lot of questions that are being raised in all kinds of areas of the market and in people's personal lives with regard to technology, privacy, and security.
There are several things besides the privacy and security issues. China has its very unique circumstances. China's cashless society is really going ahead in front of everyone, I guess. But on the other hand, Chinese have a huge population. And if you look at now these no staff shops here in Beijing and elsewhere, you will see enormous crowds over there, just to say the least. So Jay, help me to understand, how will these characteristics of China's market specifically likely to shape the future of this trend?
First of all, I think that in terms of mobile payment, I think China is leading in terms of the popularity and widely used. And you can go almost everywhere, even very small and the stores, and then even the merchandise on the street, you can use either Alipay or WeChat Pay, for example.
Those are two giants in China, internet giants that offer this cashless payment service.
Much more popular than United States, for example. Secondly, as you pointed out, China has huge population, like 1.4 billion people there, and also people are quite curious on anything new. So those phenomena is quite normal and in China.
And penetration of smartphones in China can be even higher than some of the even developed economies.
Correct, and also you look at the history of China's smartphone. China actually skipped the fixed line phone and then immediately going to the mobile phone.
That's right.
Similarly, on the payment side, and before the credit card became popular, China seems to skip the credit card, go all the way to the mobile and payment. That's something new.
It's something new, and there's some number I want to share with you, also something new. China staffless shops may soon become common, as more than 10 companies from this country, big retail chains to small startups, are trying to have a piece of the actions. They pumped more than 130 million yuan, about $90 million US, in venture capital money in the sector of the past 3 weeks. Bingo Box Go, as it is called, is to have 5,000 such stores in China in the coming year, while retail giant Wahaha has pledged to open 100,000 staffless shops with artificial intelligence within the next 3 years. All sounds big words, beautiful ones. But of course, Professor Liu, here's the thing. Well, it's easy to use those terms, but whether the public will really like the idea at the end of the day depends on what kind of services this is likely to offer. What kind of services will that exceed with the services offered by the shops with staff?
Well, the quick response and the standardized shopping.
Yeah.
But I do not really buy very much in this idea because number one, in business-wise, it's a cannibalization of the online shop because even if it's a daily necessity, you just, you can stay at home. It is even more convenient because there are so many boys, who are running around the street and deliver to your home. That's number one. Number two is that how do I refund? How do I, return the goods? So that's another very important issue. And then I need to compare. I need to be, conversant with someone who can give me some knowledge during my shopping experience. This is something that I do not really see.
But Professor Liu, at the very beginning of online shopping in China, many people ask very similar questions about that. So are we going to see just a repeat of all the same questions coming back again with this staffless shops, and then answers being provided quite easily in the Chinese remedy? Or are we going to see a very different direction this time as people are getting much more close to online shopping already?
I do not really negate the necessity and also the availability of such one in the marketplace, but I do not really see that this is really a big trendsetter because of the a number of reasons I've listed.
Is it only a marketing tool, Professor Rae, or actually we're seeing a new revolution, a very new generation of revolution?
I think it's a revolution in automation that will affect workforces and labor sectors much more broadly than just retail. The restaurant industry, the medical industry, there are probably today a great many jobs and roles that could be shifted to machine intelligence and automation. I think that when it comes down to the marketing and whether people respond to the idea of a staffless store really comes down to whether or not they have choice in the marketplace, period. If all of the retail giants, and not just in China but in the United States, with Amazon rolling out their beta of Amazon Go, which is a very similar concept, if this is backed heavily by the incumbents in retail, then there might not be an alternative in the marketplace, and people will be, sort of shoehorned into this new model. It probably will mean that certain jobs will become a thing of the past. The cashier might completely disappear. Other jobs, such as automatic network management and folks who can do electrical engineering around sensors and those types of jobs may expand.
Right.
So it's a shift in the broader economy and a shift in the marketplace and the attitudes and mores of consumers, and also a shift in the labor that will be necessary to maintain these products and services.
And that is only one part of the shift you're talking about. The other part of the shift, of course, is whether these kind of unicorns, as we say, are likely to transform the overall banking sector. Because we are talking about cashless payment, and China is really advancing in that direction. Right. How much is this likely to change people's shopping habits, payment habits, and will that transform the overall picture? I think that's an even bigger issue, Mr. Huang.
I think you're right. I think it is more than shopping habit and shopping experience. And think about this, all those stores are trials. Even all the trials have, say, failed, I think Alibaba still win because it stimulated so many conventional stores moving on this direction. It actually stimulate or force them to use Alipay or Tencent Pay.
Right.
So they have a more maybe hidden agenda than just the shopping experience, more than just automatic checkout.
That's right. Remember the shared economy, whether it is getting a taxi or getting a bike that you can ride freely. You do that with Alipay, or you'll do that with Tencent WeChat Pay. So that's already, Professor Liu, changed the habits of many when it comes to payment.
Definitely. The digital economy is really shifting the paradigm of both on the shopping end, also on the supplier end. And on the supplier side, is not only there to to boost the sales, and by creating a new way of instrument for marketing, but also by collecting information, by watching consumers' behavior.
That's another thing.
That's right, and also by the time lag they use in comparing, so they can really take advantage of the big data.
So Professor Liu, because now we are talking about banking reform in China, even some of the most established commercial banks from China are trying to establish what they call the catering to the general customers kinds of department, tried in this shared economy. So is there effort rivaled with what Alibaba and Tencent been doing? Who is likely to be the leader in that direction?
Well, I think the banking sectors are also quickly there to respond, and they can really collaborate with such sort of operation by supporting, number one, indirectly supporting the venture capitalist to invest in such operation if it really holds a marketing promise, and the other is that they can also work simply on the payment end, so that they can deal with not only collecting the money but also to use the money more effectively.
But Professor Rae, from your perspective, can the traditional banking sector become a partner, let's just say, with these unicorn companies, likely in their rising up period to change it to a cashless society?
So the nature of transaction for goods and services has also been disrupted over the last 10 or 15 years, and it's still a work in progress. There seems to be tremendous interest in cryptocurrency. However, we don't have the global infrastructure to support the exchange of capital there in quite the way that I think the folks who are pushing Bitcoin would hope that would occur. But there's no doubt that in a large market like China, the fact that everyone already is equipped with wallet pay systems on their mobile phones means that the market is prime. So I would expect that the financial sector will be partners with the larger industrial concerns that are, controlling the supply chains and the point of service for the populace. So that seems to me to be something that's already underway. In the United States, we're a little bit slower to get to that point because, a large geographically diverse country with not the same level of saturation or penetration on consumer technology devices.
Because China is a newcomer, and newcomer has the advantage of jumping to a very new generation and the latest generation.
That's right.
Talking about the wallet pay, Mr. Huang, here it can be a competition as well. If it really works in such a gigantic market like China, what would it mean for these unicorn companies, such as Alibaba, biggest platform, I guess, in the world, for Tencent as well, even for the Chinese commercial banks, vis-a-vis some of their partners or rather competitors elsewhere in the world?
I think a mobile payment break up traditional banks' monopoly. However, I think the government need to pay attention now. Now we have a dual monopoly by these two. All the rest of the competitors, I think, that they cannot compete with these two. For example, like Apple Pay, and also other new technology like NFC, whatever. I don't think they will have a chance in China. I think in China will be these two.
Because they're the early newcomers, earlier comers, rather.
Yeah, and also they're so entrenched. One is with, as we know, everybody using Weixin. And then everybody shopping on the Alibaba, the Taobao platform. So they're so entrenched, and so they are really become a dual monopoly in this field.
Wow.